Yo, man, what's good, you two, man? It's your boy Mickal, Naps, aka Mr. Napper Boy, man. Today's, man, we got part 5 of this documentary, London Killer Rappers. For any man like Scott Sherman, part 5. Let's get into it.
UK singles charts, landing Suspect his first and only charting song. Double Tap was a surprising entry on the mainstream music charts, considering the violent content and chorus mainly concerned with firearms. But it was also a display of Suspect's top-level wordplay, using double entendres to describe his grisly life in the streets in a way that really made you think, like this line, where he describes having 2 hands on a 12-gauge shotgun, as well as 2 hands being at 12, describing the position of a clock at midnight, as well as using complex football or soccer metaphors like the line, "You don't want to see AM like Ozil," referring to both Turkish football player Mesut Ozil, who commonly plays as a centre-attacking midfielder or CAM, as well as AM referring to the charge of attempted murder, which Suspect doesn't want to see because he wants to get away with his crimes. As well as another amusing and historically accurate bar where he describes his gang using a rusty old gun from World War II, a common occurrence in the UK where firearms are hard to come by, with Suspect rapping that the rusty gun he's using to drill could well have been used to kill a Nazi in World War II, and describing the gun as so old that it's been around since Winston Churchill. It's these kind of clever and creative ways of talking about violence that garnered Suspect his cult following, and despite the horrific acts of violence he'd carried out, he clearly had a talent for music to paint a picture of these awful things that he had done. And he did this with striking honesty, which grabbed the attention of UK drill fans all over the UK, and now the official UK singles chart, making him a mainstream artist. Suspect was one of the realest and rawest drill rappers ever to get on the mic, and he was seemingly doing all of this while on the run from the authorities on serious charges. Days after the song releases, Suspect tweets that his story will be televised one day, and whether or not that's true, it certainly made it to YouTube. Suspect had become a legend in the UK drill scene, and at this point, fans were watching his every move. After the murder of Culprit, their subsequent fleeing to Kenya, Suspect and S-Wavy would continue to post together on social media following the murders. However, as Suspect's hunger for fame rose, so too did his need to post. And every time he did post, he would have thousands of people watching. But unfortunately for him, it was only a matter of time before he slipped up and gave some clues. And people on Reddit eventually figured out that he was in Kenya through his social media posts. Exactly a month after Double Tap dropped and landed Suspect his first entry on the...
I told you, when you post, people are gonna figure out where you are. People on Reddit figured out where he was. They're gonna figure out where you are, man. See? They're gonna figure out where you are, where you staying. Like, people telling the internet, they're doing the police jobs for them, literally.
The UK singles charts, a Reddit user by the name Matako Yambwa made a post on the popular r/UK drill subreddit explaining that he's Kenyan and that he noticed in pictures that Suspect had posted to social media he recognized plug sockets and wall tiles common in Nairobi. In September 2021, Reddit users worked out that Suspect was in Kenya. Despite Suspect trying to confuse people by tagging his location in these pictures as Monaco, he had just made a fatal mistake in revealing his location to the world. But perhaps he didn't even know it yet, and it would take the authorities some time to figure it out themselves. While all this was going on, Suspect's stardom was continuing to grow, and after the success of Double Tap, all the hot new artists were lining up to give opportunities to this mysterious killer on the run. On September the 16th, legendary Brixton drill rapper SR, formerly known as Stabber, yes, Stabber, releases the official remix to his hit single Snap It, featuring verses from a handful of the most respected drill rappers from all over London, including Lowski, SD, G-Trap, and of course Active Gang's very own Suspect, with an Agar Grove street sign displayed prominently on the album cover to make his affiliations clear. Suspect would once again appear in the big budget music video via the use of an actor, and whilst this song was allowed to remain on YouTube, the comments were turned off. And this time, Suspect managed not to insult any rival gangsters by name in his verse, but he would end his appearance once again using the Tupac metaphor to say that he stabbed 2 people to death and put them on the news. This would be followed up a week later by another guest appearance on South London drill legend Lowski's album, with Suspect contributing a verse on the booming track Whoosh and Push, another violent drill anthem that saw Suspect comparing himself to Camden's Vladimir Putin, and describing his gang AGB as being as deadly as the Russian KGB. While Suspect was continuing to have success in the industry, his die-hard fans on Reddit, who had now uncovered his location, were beginning to turn on him. In October, on the UK drill subreddit, a poll appeared, asking if Suspect was in the wrong for acting like he's still in the UK, beefing people who are thousands of miles away when he knows he's never coming back. A few days later, Suspect would be singing along to a music video on his TV, seemingly yet another layered reference to his dead ops. But by this point, Suspect being in Kenya had become a running joke within the Reddit community, as people would crack jokes in the comments saying that the air looks Kenya, saying that the
thing is, no, son, if they knew he was there, you know what I'm saying? He should have dipped.
TV stand and hardwood is clearly sourced from Kenya, and that now he would have to do his drills with a spear. It was clear that Suspect was getting more and more comfortable showcasing himself and his surroundings on social media despite being located. He would post clips in a music studio previewing his music and tweeting once again that he needs a movie about his life one day, and appearing to even broadcast from the car on the way to and from the studio. Suspect clearly didn't let the fact that people had his location stop him from releasing music either. On October the 17th, 2021, Suspect released his new song, Encore, and that came with a music video that even featured social media footage of the Met Police's armed raid on the broad day music video shoot. The track Encore itself was yet another instance where Suspect got in the booth and used clever wordplay and cultural references to paint a picture of his violent life, opening the verse using members of the Fantastic Four to describe his powers when it comes to harming his ops. Then, that track was followed up on December the 16th, 2021, when UK rap and grime channel GRM Daily released Suspect's Freestyle Session, another high energy and aggressive murder anthem full of dark lyrics like this one about using his zombie knife to open people's heads, but assuring listeners that he doesn't eat people's brains like zombies from the movies, as well as gruesome lyrics about killing his ops, peeing on their graves, and claiming that he's the reason there's worms crawling over his ops' faces, even admitting that if he gets caught, he could be looking at 30 years in prison if he doesn't fix up and cover his...
Bro, Suspect is crazy. He is crazy, bro.
Traces, clearly showing some degree of self-awareness regarding his location here. That track would be followed up by another collab with Nino Uptown, the track Frostbite, on January the 20th, 2022, with Suspect having the gall to describe himself on the song as a block hero and the neighborhood savior, and ending his verse saying his music career is now bringing in a lot of money and that he's now killed his ops with success, as well as the literal murders he committed. This is one of Suspect's last public releases, but you can tell from this one that his arrogance is growing, and at this point he truly felt untouchable. However, little did he know the authorities were hot on his trail as a result of his reckless posting on social media. By 2022, Suspect had been on the run for 2 years and 4 months, seemingly building an entire new life for himself in Kenya. It would appear that while on the run, Suspect met a woman in Kenya named Halima and got married. He would shout her out in the track Final Moments on Suspicious Activity, and they would even have a son together. Suspect's son was named Arif after co-conspirator.
Suspect has a son with that girl? Damn, don't tell me that's how he get caught up from that.
In the culprit murder who didn't manage to get away, armed response. Footage would even surface showing Suspect on a jailhouse FaceTime call with AR, showing him his new son who bore the same first name. Other pictures would circulate, appearing to show Suspect with his face fully on show, wearing an active gang hat, with fans calling this the stupidest thing they'd ever seen, with others analysing the scenery in the picture and working out that he was in Mombasa, Kenya. Mombasa is a coastal city in southeastern Kenya with a population of 900,000 people, a popular travel destination for its beautiful beaches. It would appear that Suspect was living a normal life and literally taking beach vacations within Kenya. Rather than living like he was on the run and keeping moving in the face of the authorities and Reddit detectives' attempts to locate him, even once the internet had worked out he was in Kenya, Suspect must have thought no one was looking for him 2 years after the crime. Or perhaps he was simply unaware of the extradition treaty between the UK and Kenya. Extradition is the formal process where one country asks another to return a person in order for them to stand trial and serve a sentence. And the UK has such treaties with over 100 countries around the world, including Kenya. Notably missing from that list is Somalia. It still baffles me to this day why Suspect didn't choose Somalia along with SY and Reeks, who to this day have still never been caught. But perhaps that was the plan before Suspect...
Damn. He could have went to Somalia. He'd probably still be free right now.
met his wife and had a son in Kenya. Or perhaps he just liked Kenya better and he never believed that the Camden police would ever bother coming to find him. Suspect had built a life for himself and settled down in Kenya, but this would ultimately be his downfall. 2022 was supposed to be Suspect's year. In January, he's tweeting prolifically, teasing his upcoming debut album Suspicious Activity and taking an abrupt break from Twitter after January the 21st with a final motivational tweet reading, "Everything you need is out there, go get it." Perhaps the Metropolitan Police themselves had read that tweet, because only 5 days later, after after an astounding 898 days after the murder of culprit, on the 26th of January 2022, both suspect and Eswavi were arrested in the early hours of the morning in Nairobi, Kenya, the country's capital. They were charged with the murder of Alex Smith, aka culprit, after an international arrest warrant had been issued and executed. They were arrested by the transnational and organized crime detectives with the help of the local detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, aka DCI Kenya, with the whole process being coordinated by the ODPP, International Cooperation, Extradition and Mutual Legal Assistance Division. They tracked both of them down to Nairobi's upmarket Kilimani area, where they had been staying since sneaking into Kenya in 2019. Eswavi was located at the Aldar Apartments, where police used smoke bombs to conduct a dramatic raid, while suspect was located in his residence at house number A308 in Medea Gardens. The two locations are only about 2.5 kilometers away from each other, about a 7-minute drive. Director DCI George Kinoti said after the arrests that Kenya will not be a safe haven for fugitives.
Damn, so they got caught. Damn, so suspect got caught. So he was really trying to live the good life. If he would have went to Somalia, he'd probably still be free right now. Because remember, they said they didn't have a treaty with Somalia. He could have went there.
And warned any other suspect hiding that their days are numbered, saying outright, if you commit a crime, be ready to face the law. We will smoke you out. With DCI Kenya announcing the dramatic arrests on their Twitter account and posting pictures of suspect and Eswavi the moments they were busted, as well as photos of a dagger that suspect was found in possession of upon arrest, along with a fake Somalian ID card in the name of Abdullahi Absir Mohammed. Following the arrests, more details would soon emerge of their sloppy attempts to hide out. The pair apparently had gained entry to Kenya on visitors' visas, which they never renewed, meaning that they were considered illegals in the country. After being arrested, it was reported that suspect's wife and lawyer were due to hold a press conference, where Halima and the lawyer representing both suspect and Eswavi, as well as Eswavi's sister, came out to say that they believed that they had been killed in police custody, since the police had refused any communications with the suspects following the arrest.
There were matters on social media yesterday about 2 young men who were arrested, and purportedly it was indicated that extradition proceedings may be brought against them. And from yesterday, we have been trying to get audience from our clients, and my greatest concern is the police have completely refused to give us access from yesterday. The 2 young people were arrested about 6 o'clock from their homes very, very early in the morning, and they have been held, I believe, by ATPU. My brother here was able to...
See, what do y'all think his wife is like, or his girlfriend like? Like, do you just think she knew, or nah?
To talk to the OC in charge of ATPU, and he promised that he would see them at 2 o'clock. But when we went at 2 o'clock, they completely refused to let us see the client. So we are very, very apprehensive. You know what has been happening. You know matters of the bodies being found floating, and we really would not want this to happen. So I am particularly disturbed, and the relatives have also been denied access to them. And I would like you, if you can, to let this lady, who is the wife to one of them, and her, to give you at least a short synopsis so that you may know what is happening. For whatever reasons, we do not know the full facts, but there was talk about extradition. We don't mind. If they want to bring extradition proceedings, we can deal with that. But what I can't deal with personally is the police denying me the right for a lawyer to see a client. I think we're having a lot of impunity. I think we're having, and it cannot be violated the way it is happening. So thank you very much. Information we have, which is not a lot.
I'm Halima. My husband Tariq was taken 6 in the morning yesterday. So it was really bad. They just took him. They never told me where he was being taken. It's been since yesterday at 6 till now. We haven't seen them or anything. So we went with the lawyers. We tried up, down. They lied to us. They're in DCI. Again, we came here. So it's been a rough moment for us. We really need to see. We really need to see them. We want to see them because we are really concerned. Each of them, there were 1 British and 8. They said they're coming. They were from Interpol. In the morning, they banged our door. When my help opened the door, they just entered with force, telling everyone to sit down. So they never showed ID. They never did anything. They picked them. Until now, they can't be found anywhere.
Damn.
Yeah. Brother Siad Abdahakin Mahmoud was arrested in the early mornings yesterday around 7 a.m. It's been over 35 hours. We have no proof of life. We don't know if he's alive. We have been refused to see him. So we are demanding to please, he has been refused lawyers, he has been refused for us to see him. They have denied having him. We just want to know if he's alive. We just need proof of life. At this moment, it's been over 35 hours. So we're just very, very concerned, and it's been very emotional. Thank you.
While numerous pictures of suspect had circulated which Reddit commenters suggested had located him to the country of Kenya, this particular picture is actually the one that some say led Kenyan police to their exact location. This was a photo showing both suspect and S-Wavy in the basement of a popular shopping mall only 15 minutes away of where they were caught. This is the AdLife Plaza in the heart of Kilimani in Nairobi, with comments suggesting that the pair would have looked completely out of place in Kenya wearing Trapstar and Nike Tech tracksuits popular amongst London gang members. One commenter even claimed to have spoken to the mall security who recognized the pair and said that they stood out and that he thought that they were American gangsters, even going on to claim that this particular mall is extremely secure with only one entrance and a strict search policy with 2 security guards, while others suggested that suspect and S-Wavy had actually been out partying in nightclubs regularly and telling people who they were. This is likely the Club Gemini that's literally located at the top of this very shopping mall. Ultimately, the chase was finally over, and suspect would now be in police custody. No more nightclubs, no more studio, and no more IG lives. Or so you'd think, as despite being denied communication with both his wife and his lawyer, suspect would seemingly still manage to access a phone and communicating with friends on the outside world, ultimately FaceTiming his friends back home to show them the luxury Kenyan jail experience he was having, where he was still allowed to have KFC delivered.
Show them yourself.
What?
You show them yourself, cuz. Huh?
We got KFC.
However, the finger-licking high life of the Kenyan prison system sadly would
They gave them KFC? Damn, so he was eating good up in there.
last, and soon after, photos would emerge depicting suspect during the extradition process. On Sunday the 30th of January 2022, the pair would be brought back to the UK and updated mugshots for both would be released, and they would appear at Westminster Magistrates Crown Court on Monday the 31st of January, being remanded in custody, set to appear at prominent British court the Old Bailey on Wednesday the 2nd of February in connection to the murder of culprit. On the 2nd of February, S-Wavy would appear in court at the Old Bailey via video link from Wandsworth Prison, while suspect did not attend due to illness. Judge Alexi Duran set a plea hearing for the 20th of April and remanded the defendants into custody. However, it would seem that even in the face of his capture, extradition, and charges, suspect had no plans to put his music career on hold. In a since-deleted Instagram post put up around this time, suspect's management confirmed that they had been given access to his social media accounts. In a bold-faced post stating, due to unforeseen circumstances, unfortunately suspect has been arrested. As we all know, suspect is innocent and will be back in due time. This post was ultimately an announcement that his debut album would be releasing on February the 6th, 2022. And when the 6th came, fans would receive a 12-track album titled Suspicious Activity. The project came with features from fellow AG members Broad Day, as well as his co-defendant S-Wavy, and Suspect himself even promoted the album in a call from jail.
Suspect AGB. Get me Suspicious Activity out now on all platforms.
The album was an impressive body of work, despite its brutal content. It would open in cinematic fashion with an intro track that had a narrator describing the dog-eat-dog environment in the streets of Camden that Suspect hailed from. In the verse, Suspect once again references kids' nursery rhymes, comparing his murdered ops to Humpty Dumpty. On the track Final Moments, Suspect seems to poke fun at culprit and his death, despite his extradition and the outstanding charges. On Freedom's Priceless, Suspect says that he's playing hide and seek with Trident, the organised crime unit of the London Met Police, a game which ironically, by the time the album released, he had duly lost. On the track Z to A, Suspect once again flexes his lyrical abilities, using his verse to make references to things starting with the letter Z and working his way back to A throughout the song, and rapping that despite the fact he was in jail, missing his GCSE examinations in high school, he's still educated enough to write a song with a backwards A to Z structure. It also had the song Caught in the Rain, which went on to become one of Suspect's most streamed tracks. The song had a catchy hook where Suspect raps that he celebrates when his ops die and grieve, and reveling in the fact that he kills people and still makes songs, and bragging about how he hit the charts with a song all about guns.
My gosh. This boy Suspect is crazy. He got locked up and he's still releasing music talking about what he did. He lost his ops dying, this and that. Man, now he's locked up. Damn. But hey, he was gone for about like what 2 years and about 4 months, 8 months. Hey, that's low key good, but he should have went to Somalia, man. Should have went to Somalia. He would have been straight.
Guns, a reference to Double Tap with Fredo, charting at number 73 on the UK singles charts. It also came with gritty bars about his shank plunging in and out of ops' chests, and he would rap Free Armed Response, who was that getaway driver for Culprit's murder who had already got life in prison, likely not realizing that by the time this song was released, he would be facing the very same charges. Ironically later, rapping how he got rid of his phone in an effort not to be tracked, like his co-defendant. In the second verse, he compares himself to Lil Durk, going on to describe his disturbing mindset, saying that he's infatuated with drill and that if you flip his kill switch, he will send people to hell, and claiming that he feels nothing when he does this because the streets turned him into a soldier. The album did somewhat well, at one point being number 12 on the Apple Music top albums, but it did not chart on the official UK albums charts. And despite not attracting mainstream success, the album did become a cult classic amongst UK drill fanatics, with followers on Reddit describing it as the greatest UK drill album of all time. The cult following of Suspect and his legal issues meant that he would rack up millions of spins on the album over the course of 2022. Unconfirmed reports claimed that by December of 2022, the album had sold nearly 11,000 units, with the suggestion that this would be the equivalent of around £100,000. As UK Drill's Snapchat pages joked that he would be able to buy unlimited Oreos and tins of tuna with his commissary. Meanwhile, commenters would suggest that 100,000 goes towards the best available lawyers, as despite achieving glory through music and evading the police for over 2 years, the end result was still Suspect in handcuffs, sitting in jail and awaiting trial for the murder of Culprit. And considering the fact that he had spent the last 2 years believing that he would never be caught, rapping recklessly about how he was responsible for 2 murders, these charges would prove impossible to beat. However, Suspect would end up sitting in jail, awaiting trial for over a year, and in the meantime, other members of Active Gang would continue to wage war in the streets, and racking up serious charges. While Suspect was generally considered to be the leading rapper in Active Gang, close runner-up was T-Scam. While Suspect's reputation as a knife-wielding murderer on the run made his music alluring to fans of the realist gangster rap, by contrast it was T-Scam's association with firearms and shootings that he always seemed to get away with that made him stand out. This contrast is even something Suspect would actually rap about in his song Z to A, saying outright that he's more of a stabber, while T-Scam prefers to snap it, a reference to loading a sawn-off shotgun. T-Scam had seemingly already been implicated in firearms charges after a 2020 arrest where a revolver was found buried in a park, but the following year, T-Scam would be seen on social media celebrating 4 not guilty verdicts, ping on the biggest song of his career, Freestyle, that he was looking at 15 years, but his lawyer made the charges vanish like dynamo, with this song coming out literally just a day after a mass shooting at his ops block party, where members of Active Gang had publicly responded to a post on their ops Snapchat page inviting them to the party, an incident which T-Scam would seemingly reference in his plugged-in freestyle just months later. Arguably, with Suspect captured in January 2022, T-Scam would end up being the leading flag bearer for Acting Gang's rappers, along with Broad Day Assassin. And it would seem as Suspect was about to go in, T-Scam was just coming out, as in early 2022, T-Scam would be seen on an IG live video, seemingly fresh home from unknown charges and appearing to be trying to keep his location secret.
I'm out here.
They're out here.
Where you on?
Wait.
Man, just like Blitz is doing a little something for his thing, innit? Man can't even give out location and too tough,
No,
but you know.
obviously, you know the thing. Come on.
No, I gotta stay low.
Unfortunately, due to his reputation in the streets, T-Scam would be a high-profile target for his rivals, and eventually they would catch up to him in an unexpected location. At 6:25 p.m., Friday the 21st of January 2022, a brawl.
Don't tell me they killed him. Don't tell me they really got him, bro. Damn, hold on.
Would erupt in the middle of upmarket London department store Selfridges, with the entire fight being captured on CCTV. CCTV captured the moment that Ghost, affiliated with the 51st postcode, charged at T-Scam and his friend A-Kid. The footage would capture a knife in his hand with numerous members of each entourage scuffling all over the store in front of shocked members of the public and staff. Apparently, T-Scam and his friends were already in Selfridges when the 51st members arrived. T-Scam and his crew were surrounded and blocked by leaving from them, and at one point it appeared the confrontation was over, but as the 71st members members retreated, Ghost would allegedly bring a knife from his pocket and charge towards T-Scam, who tripped over a footstool. Ghost would then slash at T-Scam and the brawl would break out. A-Kid would attempt to step between the two, but would then become a target of the attack himself. Ghost would slash A-Kid and then attempt to stab T-Scam again, making a stabbing motion no less than 4 times. A-Kid was stabbed in his left thigh, and T-Scam would be stabbed in his leg and arm, and the footage would show one of the injured men quickly removing their puffer coat and Nike Tech tracksuit, trying to assess their injuries, all while members of staff began to surround them and shut down the area. Both would be taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and were later discharged, and T-Scam was later arrested along with Ghost. Throughout the entire situation, T-Scam allegedly had a knife in his bag, which is why he was arrested. Both were bailed pending further inquiries, and soon paperwork could circulate online with ops claiming that T-Scam had snitched. But if you read it closely, it actually just says that while receiving first aid, he says that he was shopping and got stabbed by a group of boys who had asked him who he was. Ghost ended up being identified from his mobile phone, which was tracked from Oxford Street back to his home in North London, and he would ultimately plead guilty to unlawful wounding and having an offensive weapon, and ending up being sentenced to 2.5 years for his role in the incident. But even from behind—
Damn, 2.5? That's not that much though. 2.5 years, that's not a lot.
bars, Ghost would go on to drop a jailhouse freestyle referencing the incident and rapping that he caught 2 men in a day, as well as discussing how he felt after the murder of culprit.
You see this life I live, you wouldn't understand it. Got me on the landing, come my shank got brandished. 2 men in a day, man, the drill's fantastic. Locked up for a while, they got me on my door banging. Got me sitting down thinking about all of the bitches I gave inches, and all the times I aimed it at skulls trying to wig them. I swear it's so hard to get yourself back. The system is a up cycle. I got this weapon, it beats, I call it Mickal.
I literally bobbed my head too, and then he started speaking up. I can't bob my head to that.
Skyfall. Just today, couple fake use, but I can't blame no one, cause it's all my fault. Looked up to my older brothers, cause they were my idols. And when we lost hopes, I learned it's a game of survival. I was on the road when I was crashing up daily, but it was on induction when I caught S-Wavy. 2 times I had him rocking like a baby. I done it with 2 times, we done it so bately. I don't think I can never leave the streets, cause more time, it's the streets that pays me. I gotta flick this pagey to remain cakey. So much verbal in the trap, but it can never phase me. No way. Cause I know what we done in these streets, and I know what you done in the streets. Much time to seize, cause this war ain't a joke, you can never be weak. 5 racks in a week, you can't chat to me, cause I'm a trap boy, I learned how to fly straight. Well educated, so I always got high grade.
Even with Active Gang's most famous rapper suspect now incarcerated, T-Scam and Broad Day were carrying the flag for the blocks in the 71st postcode. Meanwhile, the estates from 51st hadn't had a prominent rapper get mainstream attention for several years, ultimately leaving the beef from a music point of view fairly one-sided. However, that would all change in January 2022 when Gxng would return to the music scene after a 4-year stint in jail. He had been caught with a firearm, a loaded Walther P38 with intent to endanger life, and jailed for 8 years in 2017, allegedly receiving the heavy sentence after previous convictions for robbery and assault. His sentence was even extended by 4 months after he absconded from jail to see his family, fleeing from an open prison that he was transferred to 3 years into his sentence. Funnily enough, Gxng actually returned to prison the next day, admitting to law enforcement that he had succumbed to depression and made a big mistake. He would be shipped back to a higher security prison to serve out the remainder of his sentence, plus an additional 4 months. But eventually his time would be served, with Gxng reportedly being released on license in October 2021, and he would appear on social media in January 2022, showcasing a fresh home freestyle that would later form part of his Mad About Bars freestyle with Kenny Allstar. It wouldn't take long for beef to ignite between Active Gang members and Gxng from 51st, or One Side, or OS as he would now refer to his hood as. On the 6th of January 2022, Gxng releases a new song and music video, Secrets Not Safe, on YouTube, as well as teasing it on Instagram and Facebook. The song is an aggressive diss track aimed squarely at members of Active Gang. On the song, he calls out a handful of Active Gang members who he had apparently shot at. He says that the same gun that he used to show Suspect is the same one that was used to shoot and hit Blitz, and claiming that Suspect still met up with him after the 2 71st members were killed, AK and S45, while Suspect was in prison, even claiming that Sus had turned to Gxng for help when he got out of jail years before their beef, even in spite of the murders of AK and S45, and Gxng would also deny rumours that he had been stabbed in the chest. This song was a brutal diss track, but much like Suspect and T-Scam's music, it saw Gxng rapping with an incredibly aggressive flow over a booming UK drill beat produced to a high standard with an infectious sample. Despite the high standard of art on display, ultimately it was still a violent song that dissed Rivals and Areas by name. And unsurprisingly, once again, the music video was taken down from YouTube like so many before it, with YouTube citing a breach of its policy on harassment and bullying. But it wasn't just this song. Gxng would later claim that Instagram had censored both the song and deleted his account without warning after this release. But the song had already gotten out, and members from Gxng would begin to respond, with Suspect tweeting he doesn't care what a rapper has to say and that he's still smoking on Culprit. Gxng was actually very close to Culprit before he was killed, and he was clearly upset by these comments. So he would proceed to post a damaging clip to social media aimed squarely at Suspect, depicting a young Suspect being bullied by older gang members on his block who made him do squats and hip thrusts at gunpoint, along with the caption, "Behave little man, remember who you were around here," with Suspect ultimately clapping back and saying that his old friend Gxng is mad that his new friend Culprit got killed and that he's smoking on him, and saying that Gxng is triggered. This was just weeks before Suspect was caught and shipped back to the UK, and after Suspect had taken the L of a lifetime, Gxng was loading up new music and ready to take big steps forward with his newfound music career. On January the 30th, dropping a new song, Lock and Load, along with a music video, where he refers to Suspect's debut track Way Too Charged, saying that they got back and killed people affiliated with Suspect, and now they have members in jail smoking dead ops, and saying once again that Suspect met up with him after Blitz got shot, referring to that 2017 shooting that Gxng was rumoured to have been involved in. Gxng was emerging as a very talented rapper, and he was picking incredible beats, and for the first time there would be some genuine competition on the music side of the beef between one side and Gxng. On February the 13th, 2022, Gxng would make a big splash, appearing on Mad About Bars with Kenny Allstar, rapping lyrics that he had teased upon his release, coming out with brazen lyrics where he suggested that he still keeps guns while on license or probation, even though he's being watched by the police, and claiming that his 51st or One Side members are still catching their ops and selling drugs in the streets. He would also claim that Broad Day was lying when he said earlier on his song No Hook that he should have been practicing Dean, but he was in combo spraying machines, as well as dropping disrespectful bars referring to the early stages of the Camden gang war, saying that he's done drills with a 4-5 pendant, a reference to the death of S45, perhaps indicating that Gxng had actually stolen a commemorative necklace.
This shit is so crazy, bro. All them motherfuckers is crazy. These Gxng, Suspect, T-Scam, all of them they crazy. They got it.
From an AG member and worn it while riding out, and seemingly referring to the shooting of Blitz again, saying he shot up his op blocks numerous times, and after hitting him in the face, he had his neighbors calling the police. A detail which is indeed confirmed in news reports and recounted in numerous witness statements relating to that incident. Gxng and One Side were beginning to pick up steam in the music game, and soon after, other prominent members affiliated with the 51st postcode estates would make noise in music too. On February the 27th, 2022, Gutter drops his song Insight, which included censored lyrics aimed at his ops. In one lyric, he appeared to claim that his gang had killed 4 direct ops and 1 affiliate, a reference to the murders of Mitch as well as AK and S45, rapping "We got 2 in a van," and going on to say that they killed Nuts, with the 5th likely being Dirts. That track was followed up on March the 6th, 2022, when Gxng dropped his new song, Absent. The concept of the song sees Gxng playing on the fact that most of Gxng, including Suspect, are in prison or absent, and saying that them dissing him from jail isn't valid. He also raps that he used to send Suspect to the shop, but perhaps in an effort to ensure that more of his music didn't get removed by the authorities, this song was a bit more general rather than pointing out specific ops. But it did include gritty lyrics referring broadly to shootings, multiple stabbings, and life in jail. Combine that with Gxng's aggressive flow and a hard UK drill beat with a drum pattern reminiscent of Pop Smoke's biggest hits, it was clear that Gxng was developing a winning formula for UK drill music, and he would show no signs of taking his foot off the gas. On March the 24th, 2022, Gxng drops his song Usual Culprits, a song dedicated to his fallen friend who died at the hands of Suspect and his active gang co-defendants, Culprit. The music video for Usual Culprits opens with Gxng visiting Culprit's grave, and he ends the video with a tribute to his fallen friend. Unsurprisingly, this song is wall-to-wall with lyrics dissing active gang members directly. He also shouts out Flipper, who is serving time for the murder of AK from 71st, and he ends the track by saying Suspect should have got shot too. And finally, in the outro, making a clear statement and saying rest in peace to Culprit. In many ways, Gxng was beginning to use the music to turn around the narrative about his crew from 51st being victims of the beef, as Suspect and active gang had become some of the most famous figures in UK drill, mainly off the back of the murder of Culprit and subsequently evading the charges for over 2 years. murders, all while rapping about these murders and dissing culprit by name. For many, until Gxng came along, they were completely unaware that there were actually two deadly sides to this beef. And now, Gxng was giving Suspect a taste of his own medicine, turning the tables and rapping recklessly with impeccable skill all about the losses that Suspect and his crew had suffered in the streets, and enjoying his freedom while Suspect now suffered in jail, awaiting his trial, and while T-Scam appeared to be in and out of jail, releasing very little music in the year of 2023. And as 2022 went on, it became very clear that this was Gxng's year. On May the 1st, 2022, Gxng drops a Plugged In with Fumes the Engineer. He also once again mocks fallen member AK, and once again, denying being stabbed in the chest. He would also attempt to beat Suspect at his own game, attempting to end the song using a sophisticated run of lyrical wordplay, using all of the titles of songs from Suspect's debut album, Suspicious Activity, and turning those lyrics around to diss Suspect. Hot off the back of his Plugged In, Gxng would then attempt to release another high-profile single, this time coming up against a harsh response from the police and social media giants. On August 25th, 2022, Gxng would release a new song titled Fish-O Fillet, inspired by the worst item on the McDonald's menu, fillet of fish. Using the fish-based patty as a metaphor for stabbing and killing his ops, a reference to the slang splash, or swimming, to describe a stabbed enemy soaked in blood. Now interestingly, this particular song didn't include nearly as many references to murdered rivals as some of his previous songs and freestyles, but overall there were minimal references to dead ops or specific op blocks. And by this point, having spent 8 months building up his music career, Gxng had graduated from making hood videos to full-scale, big-budget productions with an entire video team recreating ride-out scenarios, filming in music studios with a rain machine, and professional dancers. However, regardless of the steps that Gxng had made to legitimize himself in the music industry, it seemed that the Met Police, tired with Camden drill rappers' antics, would target his music no matter the content. And Gxng would confirm that the song Fish-O Fillet got taken down within 2 weeks of upload in September 2022, sharing the message sent from the channel hosting the video, GRM Daily, saying that the police had reached out directly and told them that the song has references to real gangs and crimes. Interestingly, after this latest song takedown, the story of drill music being censored would become national news. In the face of growing anger at social media companies censoring beyond the boundaries of what the law allows, a non-profit called the Center for Democracy and Technology would actually publish a report on the removal of Gxng's January song, Secret's Not Safe, claiming that the police told Meta to take down the song due to the video containing a veiled threat referencing a 2017 shooting, but Gxng appealed and Meta put the video back up. This led the police to apply pressure to Meta and make them take it down again, despite it not actually breaking Meta's policies, with the report ultimately concluding that the law enforcement were using the platform's terms of service to restrict content in a way that stepped far beyond the national law. The story of this extrajudicial censorship would soon become big news, and in response, Meta launched an internal investigation to determine if the police in this case had actually overstepped their powers, with Meta later revealing that they had removed 52 posts, including Gxng's song manually, and another 112 posts relating to his music, which were removed by automated systems. Meta would eventually escalate the decision to their own oversight board, and in the end, Meta's oversight board would overturn the decision and reinstate the video against the wishes of the police, saying that the removals were a mistake, as the post did not violate Meta's community guidelines and that they were essentially allowing a police operation to censor free speech. Interestingly, Meta's investigation into the issue found that the Met Police in this campaign of systemic oppression of freedom of speech had actually had 255 music videos removed, all of which were drill music. Ironically,
damn, 255 drill UK music, they take that down? Damn, that's a lot of money being lost right there too.
the hype around the heavy-handed enforcement of these takedowns soon became national news, and led to numerous media organizations profiling Gxng, only boosting his exposure and legitimizing him in the mainstream media, with one particularly high-production mini-documentary being made about Gxng for the BBC, which profiled his creative approach to marketing the song that was ultimately taken down. Ironically, even the reinstatement and extra publicity Gxng received in the aftermath stoked national outrage, as one Daily Mail article argued rather absurdly that left-leaning liberals funerals and their chums were conspiring to platform dangerous gang members. In an article which was arguably racist, even describing Chinks as having a Ali G-style accent in his BBC interview. After all of this, Chinks would reflect on his experiences and claim to make an effort to clean up his lyrics to avoid getting his songs taken down. He would also reveal that since the police discovered that he's making music, they've made it part of his license or bail conditions not to say certain things. Going forward, Chinks would make light of these restrictive conditions on his art, even recording a skit mocking the police's heavy-handed approach to shutting down his music.
Hey, Chinks.
What, man?
You're breaching your license conditions. You can't be putting up gun signs.
Oh, allow it, bro. I beg you, off.
Ironically, however, with the police seemingly putting all of their attention on reading lyrics made by Chinks and one side, they would fail to pay close attention to their most dangerous rivals from 71st, and soon we would see one of the most shocking public incidents targeting one side members, which would make national news. On the 14th of January 2023, around 300 people were attending the funeral service of Sarah Sanchez and her mother, Frisia Calderon, who had both died less than 1 month apart. Frisia had died suddenly from a rare blood clot upon arrival at Heathrow Airport from Colombia, and Sarah died from leukemia, which she had been suffering from for 3 years. Their deaths themselves were not gang-related in any way, and they were just an unfortunate tragedy within the community. But according to rumours, the girl involved in the case had connection to gang members from 51st who were due to attend the funeral. The funeral was taking place at St. Aloysius Church on Phoenix Road in Euston, when shortly before 1:30 p.m, a black Toyota CHR drove past with someone shooting out of the car in the direction of the people crowded at the funeral with a shotgun. 6 people were injured, and the shooting audio and its aftermath were captured on CCTV.
4 women and 2 children were injured in the shooting outside a church. Oh, they going shooting up churches?
As was mobile phone footage captured from inside the church, showing panic unfolding after this drive-by mass shooting had taken place. An air ambulance would attend the scene and be filmed arriving to the church by members of the public waiting outside. Among the casualties, there was a 7-year-old girl who was seriously injured, an 11-year-old girl who suffered a leg injury but was discharged within days, a 48-year-old woman who suffered life-changing injuries, and 3 women aged 54, 41, 21 who were taken to hospital. All injuries would fortunately prove non-fatal. The only people in the attack who were injured were innocent women who had simply come to pay their respects. This was a brutal and senseless shooting and would make international news with coverage on major broadcasters Sky News and Channel 4.
A peaceful memorial service that ended like this, as mourners ran screaming after a suspected drive-by shooting outside a church in Euston. 6 people were injured, 4 women and a 7-year-old girl in a life-threatening condition. A 12-year-old's also been discharged from hospital with a minor leg injury. The memorial service was that of a mother and daughter who died within a month of each other last year. 20-year-old Sarah Sanchez passed away from leukemia in November. As behind the police cordon, forensic officers assessed the scene and looked for evidence, an appeal for information went out to the community to help bring justice to those responsible.
So far, the Met Police have told journalists that shots were fired from a moving vehicle. They've identified the model of the car and the type of gun used. We know that the black Toyota was driving this way towards the church. There were people gathered outside after the memorial service, and then whoever was in the car pulled out a shotgun and sprayed pellets into the crowd.
Channel 4 would speak to the shocked locals who couldn't believe such a brazen attack had taken place in central London.
Dorothea Hackman runs the food bank next door to the church.
A gun fired in broad daylight on our streets. The only person I've spoken to was utterly traumatised by it.
And they were inside or outside?
Inside.
Dorothea describes how people from the service were sprinting away from the church in fear. And the person that you spoke to, how are they feeling?
So shaken that I don't think she'll come outdoors for a long time.
with local MP and Labour Party leader Keir Starmer once again appearing at the scene and speaking out on the incident to the news, calling for tougher gun laws.
This morning, the Labour leader Keir Starmer went to a briefing on the shooting. Camden is his constituency, and he nodded to the bigger picture.
I've always said we should toughen up our gun laws. I mean, the incident, tragic incident in my constituency yesterday is ongoing. Our thoughts are, of course, with all those concerned.
A funeral shooting of this sort was reminiscent of the shooting at the funeral of Chicago gangster disciple Dusky the Man.
Local musician known as Dusky the Man was letting out. His real name is Van Treese Christ. He was killed by gunfire earlier this month. Witnesses today heard a couple of shots at first, apparently fired into the crowd. Then many more, several dozen more shots. Investigators have placed markers indicating where shell casings are located, but so far they have no one in custody.
A level of violence rarely seen on the streets of London. Many people would initially believe that this brazen shooting was cartel-related due to Frasia's deceased husband's confirmed connections to the Colombian Cali cartel, as her husband Carlos was apparently jailed in the UK for helping launder money for a drug gang with connections to the cartel. However, months would pass before an alternative narrative would emerge that some say connect this incident to the ongoing gang war in Camden. But before the police would identify a suspect in that case, the war in Camden would play out in songs as much as it would in the streets. With suspects still in jail, facing a potentially huge sentence, the only rappers in active gangs still free with a significant buzz were T-Scam and Broad Day, the latter of which, to be fair, had a successful 2022, releasing high-profile songs like the Super Gremlin remix with Lil Dots, which became his most viewed music video to date, as well as dropping a successful plugged-in session with Fumes the Engineer, which racked up an impressive 1.5 million views. But ultimately, the rise of Gxng had proven to be unstoppable. And on February the 24th, 2023, Gxng would release his debut project, One-Sided Story, with the title referencing the idea that until he got out of jail, people had only really understood the gang war in Camden from the perspective of Suspect, an active gang. And this project included many of the tracks that we've already discussed in this chapter, like Secrets Not Safe, Usual Culprits, and Fish O'Fillet, which all painted a picture of the 51st or one-side side of the war and dropped maximum disrespect towards active gang and its members. But in addition to the content on the album discussing the intricacies of Camden's gang politics, overall it was an incredible body of work.
It's crazy. Now, first of all, Suspect dropping the music from his side of the war. Now it's Gxng, his side of the story now. So people are understanding both sides of the story. One's locked up, one's free. Suspect was free first. Now he's locked up. Gxng was locked up. Now he's free now. You know what I'm saying?
As by this point, only Suspect, after getting captured, had released a full album in the form of Suspicious Activity. However, now, Gxng had dropped off a full-length 17-track album which was solid both lyrically and production-wise from start to finish, with other particular standout tracks being Trap Fashion and Levels, which are personal favourites of mine. However, despite dropping off this full-length and high-quality body of work, and the following month, Gxng would return to the booth, releasing more music that seemed to acknowledge the funeral shooting that was rumoured to be targeting One-Side members. On March the 5th, 2023, Gxng drops a Daily Duppy freestyle where he seemingly calls this incident a failed mission, admonishing his ops and saying that they only hit kids and girls. And Gxng would go on to mock Suspect following his latest release, taking to Snapchat days later, saying that he used to send Suspect to the shops and let him keep the change. That same month, on March the 15th, 2023, T-Scam drops a fresh plugged-in freestyle with Fumes the Engineer, dissing Gxng and referencing his area and album title One-Sided Story and saying his one-sided story will have a sad ending, and going on to say when he's in one side, he shoots on sight, even claiming that Gxng must be sour because when he was fresh home from jail, he had to lay flowers at Culprit's grave because active gang members killed him, with this being a direct reference to the music video Gxng had made for his track Usual Culprits, where he laid flowers on Culprit's grave, as well as rapping Free Yevs, who had earlier gone to that music video shoot in 51st and stabbed someone. T-Scam would end the verse saying that he stabbed and even claiming that his mother was there to witness it, a bar that was so brutal even Fumes the Engineer had to get up and walk out of his chair after
what?
Hearing it. Whilst the freestyle itself didn't reference the shooting at the funeral, Gxng had seemingly referenced it in his Daily Duppy, and in the days following the release of that plugged in, another freestyle from T-Scam would leak online titled One Side Ain't Safe, which included lyrics describing an incident where they nearly killed Chinks, and saying, once again, that Hitman from Gxng nearly killed him. But worst of all, the song also featured a hook where T-Scam would rap that his ops don't know how to protect their girls, a lyric which some people believed was another direct reference to that funeral shooting. One Side Ain't Safe was never released as an official song, but ultimately, just the day after T-Scam's Plugged In released, London police would swoop in and take him off the streets. As on March the 16th, 2023, Gxng's T-Scams and another man by the name of Reeks would be arrested in connection to the shooting, with the footage of their arrest by an armed unit going viral on UK drill pages. It's believed 3 men were accused of playing a role in the funeral shooting, one of them being T-Scam. Each of them were charged with 6 counts of Section 18 wounding with intent. One of those co-defendants appears at Willesden Magistrate Courts on March the 15th, 2023, charged with possession of a shotgun with intent to endanger life and 6 counts of conspiracy to wound with intent. T-Scam and Reeks, however, would fail to appear at this court date, later appearing at Harrow Crown Court for a plea hearing alongside the co-defendant. A provisional trial date was set for late 2023, and the prosecutors say that they plan on using 4 key strands of evidence: gang activity, CCTV, cell site, and car data as forensic evidence. Someone had posted to Reddit that T-Scam had actually made an application for bail for the offence, but as it currently stands, it appears that he is still incarcerated, and due to Harrow Crown Court currently being closed due to unsafe concrete being found in the building, it's unclear whether this trial will be taking place anytime soon. At the time of writing this, it's still unclear what the outcome of that case is going to be, and once again, it's important to remember, at this stage, these are only allegations. T-Scam and his co-defendants are innocent until proven guilty, and it's highly possible that they may have evidence that proves they had nothing to do with the crimes they're being accused of. But what we do know, however, is the outcome of Suspect's trial. After being captured in 2022 and left in jail for over a year to await trial, in March 2023, Gxng's most prominent member, who had evaded the police for 2 years, all while bragging about the murders that he did to an audience of millions, would finally face justice. And sadly for him, he would indeed get what he deserved.
Damn, the trial Suspect, man. It's gonna be a good one, man.
After playing an active role in the murders of his gang rivals, C-Miz and Culprit, Suspect and S-Wavy of Gxng had fled to Kenya, and Suspect managed to go on the musical run of a lifetime, spending about 2 years and 4 months recording music, openly bragging about the murders he'd committed in gruesome detail, all the while evading and taunting the police who were desperately trying to solve this case. Meanwhile, prominent Gxng member Armed Response, or AR, failed to get out of the country before the police could find him, ultimately getting convicted and sentenced to life in prison. By the time Suspect had been caught and extradited back to the UK, it seemed like AR had settled into his incarceration. He would go live seemingly from inside his cell on June the 4th, 2022, smiling as commenters bring up the deaths of C-Miz and Culprit. He was surrounded by goons bumping Youngboy's song Forgiato, where he claimed to have killed over 7 people.
Who's that? What's your name? What's your name?
AR from the AGB Act. I said I got C-Miz, you know, Culprit pack. Yeah, man.
Man, AR. Aye, man. Gxng. Show them AR, fam.
This was the fate that Suspect was potentially facing, and after his extradition in January, 6 months later, around the time of AR's live, Suspect would seemingly also get access to the internet, beginning to post to Twitter again in June and August of 2022, tweeting boastfully about how his ops still mention his name after the murders he committed, tweeting Free Double S in reference to himself and S-Wavy, who along with SY, who was still on the run in Somalia at this point, previously made up the deadly trio Triple S. Suspect would seemingly reflect on some of the clout-chasing slip-ups that landed him in jail, tweeting, "God forgive me for getting lost in the sauce," and social media blurring too many lines, as well as tweets indicating he feels like his life has been a movie, as well as another optimistic post suggesting that he believes he'll be free by 2023. Later, he would go on a series of tweets suggesting that he's having dark thoughts that he cannot say out loud or he'll be sectioned under the Mental Health Act, as well as bigging himself up, saying he's really that guy, just wait and see, perhaps another indication that he thought he might be able to beat these charges. Perhaps that explains his next tweet, appearing to suggest that he's not not really a killer and that he's just a music performer, a villain character, with drill music being all entertainment. Going on to reach pretty hard with a statement saying how if an actor catches a case, they won't play his movie in court, but they're going to play suspect's music. He was seemingly lacking the self-awareness to really see the difference between a trained actor playing a character in a narrative work of fiction and the confessional drill raps of a man who blatantly committed murder and then made songs detailing the gruesome and true details of that murder. Many pictures and videos of suspect from behind bars would emerge while he awaited trial, like this video where he's seen as part of a crew throwing up active gang signs while somebody gets a beating in jail. Another picture of him would surface on broad day Snapchat with the caption "Free the Mastermind," and another iconic photo of him living good in his cell wearing a Versace bathrobe. He would even record multiple freestyles via prison phones which were uploaded online.
It really just sounded like he really just accepted that, to be honest. Like he's having fun up in there. He probably thinks he's getting out. All the time, he probably not.
Fans love my lyricism. I told bro, be the stat before your name, that's some constructive criticism. Mum said I never listened. Son, how you back in prison? I ain't have a father figure. Me and gang went different fishing. Always trust my intuition. Never make a split decision. Follow first, forgot the second. Third is learn from your lessons. Alhamdulillah, count my blessings. Gotta count the ammunition. If you lose a bell, it's in the up. Cause we never missing. Most loved, most hated, most wanted, most rated. Thankful for the real and genuine, cause trust me, most fake it. From a place, if you slip, get your soul taken. I made more moves, more racks, and more pagans. Only time will tell, jail made me more patient. Be my brother to my brothers, I'll be home soon. Until then, reminisce to my old tunes. 3 years, 3 blitz through my whole crew, gang.
Pretty face, I'm perfect from the waist down. I ain't trying to waste time. Through the grapevine, I'm the man behind the plan, I'm the man behind your bitch when you call her trying to FaceTime, back shots, the booty clapping when she face down, headshots, the gun clapping till he face down, hands down, I'm one of the villains to touch your mic, red dots, hands up, don't move or to take your life, had to struggle inside, grew up thinking wrong was right, so I had to fight, I went home a different guy, money give me appetite, lost the calamari bites, we don't catch feelings, we catch, then we catching flight, tech, tech 9, technique, bullseye, she a hoe just for me, that's a true lie. Girl trip, I know what these hoes do in Dubai. Boys trip, the steppers roll, looking for a new high. Numb to the pain, I'm surprised I'm still sane. Country on chain, now with SVR range. It was not nice, used to trap in the rain. Mom, there's no win in this game.
However, Peckwater member C2, who suspect had previously mocked in a music video for working as a model, would post multiple times alluding to suspect being jumped and beaten up in prison, saying that he's having a tough time in jail and that there had been suspicious activity.
But then sometimes I really feel like they just be capping this line just to get views and then try to humiliate and embarrass the ops.
On D-Wing. Seemingly in response, suspect would post mocking C2, posting a picture of him in a wig and saying that he likes to feel like a little lady and congratulating him on trying to find himself and acting like a bad boy this year. C2, apparently in jail too during this time, would end up making his own jailhouse freestyle, named after suspect's hit song Caught in the Rain, dissing dead ops from active gang. Despite the daily struggles of being the most wanted member of a prominent gang in jail, suspect appeared to be optimistic while in prison, posting Instagram replies that he would be at Wireless Festival the next year and that he would even be home soon. In November, suspect would freestyle for his fellow inmates as they gathered around and cheered him on.
No cap, got blowback, laugh when I see F1 for a throwback. Knows that chatter you want, but you can't get your bros back. Run them streets, got chinged up. Parts where his hair won't grow back. Not my whole shank, hold that. Pull up toast at Joe 5 times got feds like Siemens eyes, I don't wanna roll back. Bro said Mendig is done. I asked him, what does that mean? Bro, our shanks are covered in squeeze. And give it a clean.
It would be over a year that suspect would wait in jail for his trial before the day would finally come. He and S-Wavy would file not guilty pleas in June 2022, and so the trial for the murder of Alex Smith, aka Culprit, would begin on the 27th of March 2023 at the Old Bailey, and pictures would emerge showing suspect in the dock in court smiling. Judge Sarah Monroe KC was the judge on the case. She had gained national attention earlier in the year, making history being the first ever judge to hand down a sentence in a case that was televised live.
The sentence I pass upon you is therefore one of life imprisonment.
Initial reports on social media would circulate claiming that the pair would not be identified by their rap aliases, nor would their lyrics or music be used in court at all, as well as suggesting that the prosecution would mainly rely on cell site data to put suspect at the scene, with other reports suggesting this wasn't accurate and that witnesses might not be able to identify suspect. It would turn out that a lot of this social media reporting suggesting that the prosecution was struggling was complete cope. This same account also claimed that there was a man in the courtroom wearing a trap star puffer jacket and that he understood the culture and was going to get suspect off. Now, it's unclear whether or not this was complete trolling or whether there was some truth to it, but due to these posts, many members of the UK drill subreddit and community were led to believe that suspect had a much higher chance of freedom than he really did. On May the 10th, just days before the verdict, suspect would be seen on social media FaceTiming his Kenyan wife Halima. Now, I wasn't able to find full court documents relating to the trial publicly, so it's unclear exactly what evidence was used against him. But some crime Twitter pages tweeted that a lot of interesting details came up during the trial. They used suspect's many convictions as a youth offender, bringing up that he had a total of 18 convictions for 41 offences prior to the murder. They would also be told details about the ongoing gang war in Camden, which suspect and culprit had both been involved in. The court would also
It really sound like they're really just trying to get suspect out of here. Really, they're trying to put him in jail for as long as they can because they don't like him and the stuff that he did in the streets and talking about it in his songs.
Also hear a victim impact statement from culprit's mother, who said that she was haunted by the thought of her son being hunted by a pack of knife-wielding gangsters. However, suspect's defense would emphasize that suspect grew up in foster care and did not have intent to kill. The court would hear about how suspect and S-Wavy fled the country after the murder and bragged about the murder in several songs, with culprit's mother making direct references to lyrics from his freestyle, with it being reported that that song had been analysed in detail in court, with it likely that these lyrics about tripping up ops and stabbing them in the chest and leaving estates red taped no doubt harmed his case dramatically. It's ironic that this freestyle that ended with him rapping about his op that didn't make it, and now that he's rapping about the murder he might make it, ended up sealing his fate. Other reports on social media that can't be verified suggested that numerous songs were played in court and that the judge was in disbelief when she heard them, specifically lyrics such as "Who is the culprit?" and "It's ironic that they suspect me." Before the verdict, suspect would post a message to his YouTube channel showing crossed fingers and heart emojis, but unfortunately for suspect, his luck would finally run out. In the end, on the 10th of May 2023, both suspect and S-Wavy would be found guilty for the murder of Alex Smith, after which they refused to participate in proceedings, failing to attend the sentencing. So, 2 days later, the sentence would be handed down in their absence, with suspect getting life with a minimum of 24 years, and S-Wavy receiving a minimum of 23 years. Apparently the judge even
Damn, so they both got life or 24 years minimum. So they can get out in 24 years. Nah, they gonna be too old for that, bro. If they were able to get out of the bill in the 40s, maybe late 30s, 40s. I don't know, man.
Admonished suspect and S-Wavy for making music celebrating the death of culprit during the sentencing. Friends and affiliates would post reacting to this news, and later, reporting would suggest that neither suspect or S-Wavy showed any remorse or explanation for their crimes throughout the trial, and footage of suspect settling into life in prison with Triggy would circulate after the sentencing. And eventually, a picture would even surface showing Active Gang's most prominent rappers, T-Scam and suspect, both together in jail. Meanwhile, SY, who had still managed to evade justice in Somalia, would post to his Snapchat reacting to the news with heartbreak emojis and calling to free the innocent. Ultimately, suspect's wild story had finally come to an end, and despite what any Active Gang fans might say, finally justice had been delivered for Alex Smith, aka culprit. And after spending 2 years and 4 months running free and mocking the death of this young man, now suspect would have to face the next 24 years in a jail cell for what he had done on the 12th of August 2019.
and we are directing all of our attention and resources to keep you safe.
They are going to go out and kill any Somali.
Stabbed.
Now seem to hear.
Shows the moment flagship.
That made Suspect famous that also brought about his downfall. Arguably, had he processed, the end result likely would have been the victim's family. While you could argue that the drill fans that propped up Suspect and made him famous share some of the blame for that suffering, ultimately Suspect himself is just another symptom of a very sick music industry. In the modern age of gangster rap, the King Vons, Pooh Shiesties, and Gucci Manes of the world have always gotten a lot of attention for the legal cases they were associated with. Whether it's killing rival gangsters, killing someone in self-defense, or shooting someone in a hot-headed argument, the modern rap game just can't help but lavish attention on those who have openly lived a life right on the boundaries of what the law allows or allows you to get away with. Suspect was one of the most extreme examples of when keeping it real goes wrong. Just like King Von, Suspect was praised for being what he really rapped about. He made murder music, and he had really done murders. In November 2021, just 2 months before he was caught, Suspect posted the following to social media, saying with criminal lifestyle rappers, cargo drill music, even people in his music for people to stand up and really pay attention, and that paid him handsomely. In the case of Suspect, he didn't even get serious about music until he had seemingly killed 2 people. But this idea that people who haven't killed anyone or got active in the streets being disqualified from rapping is just absurd. Suspect really lived what he rapped, and look where it got him.
See, that's what happened when you live what you rap. Eventually, you will get caught. Eventually, you will get caught.
He fled to Kenya to escape his fate, but ultimately justice would come and find him even 6,000 miles away. While he was on the run, he indeed did demonstrate that he had a talent as a rapper and a writer. His wordplay and performing ability made him one of the most compelling rappers in UK drill history. But the way he sees it, if he didn't kill 2 people, nobody would have cared. Now, I think that's incredibly pessimistic. Maybe Suspect sees it that way, but I truly believe that with his talent, he could have been a successful rapper in UK drill without having to kill a single person. Maybe it would have taken him longer or required more time working on music than lurking in the streets. But to me, killing people and rapping about it isn't really the secret to success in drill music. It's only a shortcut to fame on social media. There's a reason why Culprit's song about the murder of living over the bad jailed Too Smoky announces from behind Somalia living their best life and not facing any justice for the part that they allegedly played in these murders. It's hard to say that true justice will ever be served on either side of the fence. But if there's one message that I want to leave you with, it's that if you are a young person growing up in a difficult environment, perhaps even being influenced by or idolizing a drill rapper like Suspect, just take a second to think about the consequences of your actions. Because it only takes one night of hot-headed violence and bad decision making to end your life or another life permanently. Life is precious, and sometimes in the heat of a moment of conflict, it's easy to lose sight of the blessings that you already have. I hope you learned something from this story.
Hey man, that's gonna be it for the documentary. This is part 5, the last part. Thank you guys for watching with me. Running road to 1,000 subs. Thank you to Trouble Russ. The original will be down below in the description. Yeah, go check Trouble Russ. Good video, man. This will end off the documentary. Appreciate y'all, man. Hit that like button, everything, man. I'm out.